Thank you very much to kind of a very, very nice introduction. And the honor is on my side. My first visit to Bangalore ever, and I have the chance to talk about our work, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, and that's thanks to Kanya. Thanks for this invitation. I can't connect to Bluetooth, as you can see here, so which means we would not have audio. But nevertheless, I start anyway.
First, could you try again? You can try again.
I'll check in a second. So my name is Horst Hörtner, and I'm directing the Ars Electronica Future Lab. Shortly about the Ars Electronica, that should be visible. There should be some sound here. The Ars Electronica started as a festival in 1979. Back then, already focusing on the intersection of the nexus of art, technology, and society. Not for the sake of the art, not for the sake of the technology, but really for the sake of the society. Understanding what does that future perspective, that technologies, that concepts, that visions, that scientific outcome mean for me as an individual person and mean for us as a society. Fostering and engaging critical thinking, engaging members, visitors with those cutting-edge new technologies, having hands on those technologies in a way to learn, to build their own opinion about the chances with that technologies and the risks, the threats, and the opportunities that are out there. Doing this, the pre-Ars Electronica came to it in '87, which is a competition of cyber arts, as we call it, and the Ars Electronica Center, which is a permanent museum, not an annual festival only anymore, but a permanent museum now. We called it bravely the Museum of the Future. That opened in 1996. And since then, the Future Lab, the Atelier Laboratory, is also in place. This is more or less what Linz looked like when Ars Electronica is coming. So you can see, Linz is a very, very small city, especially in Indian dimensions and scales. But Linz is a 200,000 citizens city. But all the universities are participating in the festival. All the art institutes are participating in the festival. All the, the Med campus there, even the dome, our Catholic Church dome, is participating in the festival, and tech art pieces are shown there, exhibited there, and many, many other places. So this is what the city looks like, and that's a little bit of what the festival looks like. It is a fantastic space where all ages, kids to retired people, have the chance to meet and talk the expert and elite of art and science. Hiroshi Ishii, the co-director of the Media Lab, has been exhibiting several times and is there almost annually as a participant in our conferences. And so many others as well. Even EU representatives are there. So, and they talk to grandpas with grandsons that walk by, and they can have direct access to all the super brains. But more interesting as meeting those guys is actually seeing all the art pieces, seeing all the different perspectives that the artists are showcasing, are expressing in their work. But since this is a 5 days event, all the artists are there personally next to the art piece, and you integrate with the artists, you talk with the artists, you're inside that huge international global family. This is the pre-Ars Electronica. The pre-Ars Electronica, the Oscar of the pre-Ars Electronica. We call it the Golden Nika, as in electronica. The Golden Nika is, so to say, our winning figure, that in every category, the winner of the category gets handed out. So there's several categories, meanwhile, huge load, and several winners, since this is running every year since 1987. And we keep all the entries since 1987 from everywhere in the world. They come to us, documentary works about the art pieces, very often also interviews with the artists that they talk themselves about their art pieces, like 4,000 art pieces every year. And this is a constant load of data that's coming in throughout the decades meanwhile. This is more than 70 terabyte of digitized material of the world's development of art tech since the mid-80s. And we offer this to researchers. Visiting researchers can have hands-on that archive and work through that fields. The Ars Electronica Future Lab is the R&D department, the think tank of the do tank of the Ars Electronica. It's an atelier laboratory of the Ars Electronica. We are acting as a catalyst for our society and also as an interface for our partners. Like joining in the Ars Electronica is very, very often happening through the gate of the future. Collaborative works that we do, productions that we do together with our partners. And all our projects, they try to express a vision for the future in order to create a haptical prototype out of it and then put it in front of the general audience in order to ignite a discourse and a discussion about that vision, about the risks and the chances and the threats and the possibilities. In that way, we can generate a feedback to the vision even prior the vision is actually produced or operated in, which is fantastic. It's an open, wildly open discourse happening with scientific exploration, artistic expression, and always the social impact in the back of our minds. And we do this in several fields. One very important for us is empowerment, making people understand that we co-create our future. It's not somebody else is doing the future, it's us every day, every decision. We create the future. And that is what we try, exemplary, I don't know if that's the right word, but we try to do that in our exhibitions, where we give enough of information, give enough of experiencing a technology, a scientific outcome, so that the people are able to create their own opinion about it and leave the building and have a kind of an idea, an understanding that they are participating in whatever the future brings. We do that with art and science. We very much are connected to the values of humanism, the humanism in the real world. We are missing that in the digital world. Digital humanism, I think, is a very, very important topic, generally, globally. And also, of course, we try to engage with novel cultural experience. The tangible future visions is a very, very important aspect. Come to that a little later again. What we try is bring in these futures, these ideas, the concepts globally, and put it on the main square of Linz, put it out into the public area, not like hidden in some galleries or in some museum space, but bringing it out to the people in order to give them a chance to get their hands on, to get, as I said, enough of information to create their own opinion about it. That's the team of the Future Lab. That's roughly 30 plus members, 38 on this picture. And the most important is the list of the educational backgrounds. We do have very, very diverse disciplines. And that means we have very, very diverse projects. And I try to guide through the projects quickly. But we have, you can read the list anyway. And that's constantly extending also with new members, new expertises popping. But what's very interesting for us is that we raise research questions that can be contributed to, answered by almost every discipline. That transdisciplinary approach in our work is base of the DNA. These are some of our academic partners, these are our industrial partners. A quick overview on projects that we did for the first time. The world's first cave infrastructure was built in 1996, was the world's first publicly accessible VR infrastructure in that case. The Instar project was an automobile car navigation system based on AR, realized and really working in 2002. That was the world's first of its kind. The Spaxels already have been mentioned. The drone light shows got the world premiere in 2012 in Linz. And this is a contribution to, in VR, higher education in medicine. This is the imagery in 3D of a living person. That is a patient still alive. We used MRI and what's it called, the computer tomography, the CTI imagery to generate the data sets, and then from there on utilized visualization techniques that are well-known, render engines and render strategies to come up with this quality of visualization, which is a trusted huge help for the students and for everybody. Once you see it, you can see in your own body that quality. This is a 9 times 16 meters high wall and the floor. That's what we call the deep space. That's where this med space is created in. And this is an infrastructure originally built for art. We were thinking we want to have a fantastic VR theater for new art pieces. And we did concerts and visualization of the concert. We did theater pieces. We did. All of a sudden it turned out this is interesting for science. This is interesting for presentations in unknown quality, 8K. At the time in 2019, even NHK, the Japanese public broadcasting station, they have selected this deep space back then to be the showcase for their early experiments in 8K technologies. And that's a short impression on the. I'm pretty much off with time already, am I? Just a few minutes, maybe? Yeah. So that's what it is. It's interactive, it's in 3D, so you can wear glasses. It's a performative space that ended up being the infrastructure for the medical education at our Med Uni in Linz. Contracted art pieces was the original idea, but all of a sudden architecture, mechatronics, everybody was interested in how to dive into this type of technology. Designers, media designers. On that early stage there was no 8K available, but at that time we had students here from design class giving design classes on 8K, because a TV screen looks totally different if you have that resolution. It's not only about the quality of the content you record. What could be a weather report, for example, if you stand inside of 8K with that resolution? What details could be expressed on a daily news show? These are the research questions that we could answer with that. Finally, the specs, let's short fashion this. This is the drones that have lifted up that's in Linz, next to the Danube. That was summer 2012. And this video went viral, and we went to do the premiere for the Star Trek movie in London, next to the Tower Bridge. We went to all over the place, really. We were in Mexico, we were in Australia, in China, performing this type of art. But what we were interested in is the question, what happens if we take the stars from the sky and bring it on the ground? We came up with the idea that we would have a virtual line, let's say, represented by 3 of those, and I could, by touching the drone, I am touching the virtual object. I am manipulating virtual objects in real space. And that has never happened before. That is, it's like bending the 2 extremes of the mixed reality continuum into one spot. Now, virtual objects can be represented and manipulated in the real world. And that got the industry very interested. That was 2013-ish, where they asked the question, wait a minute, if those autonomous vehicles in front of us are right in front of us on eye level, so to speak, how do we understand them? How do they understand us? Do we need a new form of communication, a new form of language? And we joined in a several years research program with Mercedes-Benz. And the outcome of that several years research project was this. This is the FO15, the first autonomous car Mercedes-Benz has ever built. And we had the chance to convince Mercedes-Benz to bring that car to Linz as the European premiere to the festival. And this car was driving through the cities of to the streets of Linz, and was actually encountering the main square. You'll see in a second. That's the Ars Electronica Center in the back. And it's coming to the main square, here you see. And the audience, of course, was there, awaiting the vehicle to arrive, and had direct access to that. And the engineers of Mercedes-Benz, they were totally kind of irritated, because they got fundamental questions concerning those cars, and not always the same questions that they get anyway in their huge automobile shows, or the Frankfurt Automobilausstellung, etc., etc. This is the same thinking process in that audience that the engineers would have, right? And even the press is an automobile press, so the questions they receive is, from within a certain category. The questions they had to answer here, that was a grandpa or grandma with a grandchild walking up to the engineer of Mercedes and said, okay, could you explain us, please, what is it good for? And this, I call that a fundamental question. Science creates knowledge, technology creates possibilities, design creates accessibility, but it's the art that creates meaning. Thank you very much.